My name is Candace, aka Picasso baby, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create your very own St. Patrick's Day painting. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, thank you so much for stopping back by to paint with me today. So as you all know, it is now March, and one of my favorite holidays is in March. I am a lover of all things St. Patrick's Day. I've been celebrating St. Patrick's Day since I was in high school because that's when I discovered my favorite color was green. So when I found out that there was a whole day, of course dedicated to many other things, especially in Irish culture and in Ireland, but when I found out that you get to wear green on this day, of course it became my favorite holiday. So today I am going to be showing you how to create your very own St. Patrick's Day painting. As always, before we get started, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on those post notifications so that you do not miss the next tutorial. So before we get started, I'm going to go over everything that I'm going to be using in this tutorial. As always, I am working with a 16 by 20 inch canvas, but remember you can use the canvas size of your choice. You also want to make sure that you have some different size acrylic brushes, a cup with cool water to wash your brushes out, and also some napkins or a rag to dry your brushes off on. And I am working with acrylic paint. I'm using the colors phthalo blue, burnt sienna, chrome yellow, titanium white, and Mars black. If you'd like to use any other colors, remember you can use the colors of your choice. And as always, everything that I am using is linked down in the description below. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to get my background filled in. And for my background, of course, it's St. Patrick's Day, so I'm going to be adding a shamrock to my background. So I'm starting with my biggest brush. I'm starting with a bigger flat brush. You can use a bigger round brush or flat. You just want to make sure it's one of your biggest brushes. And the first thing I want to do is I want to mix up a bit of a lighter green. So I am going to take some of my blue, and I'm going to move it over and mix it with some of my yellow. I'm using more yellow than blue because the more blue you use, the darker it will be. And I want this to be a bit lighter, so I'm using more yellow than blue. I'm also going to take a little bit of white and mix that right in as well. And once you have the shade of your choice, if you want a darker green, feel free to use the one you like. But once you have the shade of your choice, the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and outline my shamrock. Now, I'm just doing it with my paintbrush because it's a super simple shape, so you can go right along with me for this part. But if you want to draw it out first, remember you can always use a pencil or a permanent marker to draw it first. So the first thing I want to do is I want to actually pull a line right down the middle. So I'm just pulling a line right down the middle here. And from this line, I am going to also pull a line across the middle as well. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to use this to map out our shamrock. So the shape of the leaf is actually pretty much like a heart. So I am going to use this line here to make one half of a heart. And then I am going to do the same thing on the other side. And I'm going to do that 2 more times. So I'm going to make one half of a heart here, the other half here. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to make one half of the heart there, and the other half there. Now I am just doing the shamrock. I'm just doing a 3-leaf clover. If you want to make it a lucky 4-leaf clover, feel free to do so. But I'm just going to leave it like this. And I am going to go ahead and get my shamrock filled in. So I'm just filling in all 3 of the leaves that we just made. All right, now while that layer is drying, I am going to get the rest of my background filled in. Now I did just only do the leaves for my shamrock. I'm not gonna worry about a stem just yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of my background filled. I'm going to be filling mine in with a darker green. If you want to use a different color, it's completely up to you. But I'm not going to wash my brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some more of my blue. This time I'm actually going to leave it over here. And I am going to take some of my yellow and move it over. Now I am using more blue than yellow this time because I want a darker green. So I'm not going to add any white to the mixture either. I want this green to be darker than my shamrock. And once you have a shade that you like, you are going to go ahead and get everything around the shamrock completely filled in. So all of this white space, even painting right over the lines that we did, you're going to fill everything around the shamrock completely in. All right, now once you have the entire background filled in, before we give this a second to dry, I'm actually gonna go back into my shamrock. Now this time I'm still using the same brush. I'm not gonna wash it, but I am gonna make a little more of my lighter green. If you still have some, you are completely fine. But I'm gonna make a little more. Remember, it was yellow with a little bit of blue and also a little bit of white. And I am just going to go in and shape up my shamrock a bit. And as you do this, you'll see because your background is wet, you're going to pull a little bit of that background in there, which is going to give your shamrock a little bit of extra color. So I'm going through and just adding a second layer and also reshaping or just making sure the leaves, the outline of the leaves are really, really nice. And it's gonna pull some of that darker green or whatever color you had in your background, it's gonna pull some of that in. That's completely fine, just blend it out. So you see how it's getting that extra color in there? And that's coming from me overlapping the background to make sure my leaf has a really nice shape. Now, before I'm finished with the shamrock, I am also going to keep this green on my brush, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of white. So I'm just picking up a little bit of white on the tip of my brush, and I'm going to go in and just add some quick little highlights to my leaves. You don't have to do every one. You can do it wherever you want to see it at. It's completely up to you. You just want to follow the shape that's already there. So if the leaf is curving, follow that curve. If you're going to pull it from the middle there, completely up to you. But what I'm also going to do is I am going to pull the stem out now. So we didn't pull the stem out before, and if you like it like this, you can leave the stem off. But I'm just going to start from the center right here, and I'm just going to pull a quick little stem down. Now, once you've done that, we're going to give this a few minutes to dry. So while it's drying, this is the perfect time to grab yourself a drink, maybe even a beer or a green beer, and then we'll start back together in a few. And as always, if you don't want to take a 10 to 15 minute break, grab your blow dryer and blow dry your painting on the cool setting, and then we'll start back together in just a few.
One eternity later.
So now that our paintings are dry, we're gonna go ahead and start to add on the next layer. And of course, it's St. Patrick's Day. Everybody goes out to the bars, and what do they get? Beer. Now, I'm just gonna be doing regular beer since I have a green background, but you can do green beer if you'd like. It's completely up to you. But for this part, you do wanna switch to more of a medium-sized brush or a small brush. I'm using a medium round brush. And the first thing I wanna do is I wanna get my mugs on. So I'm gonna take a little bit of white paint, and the mugs are super, super simple. All we're gonna do is right in the middle, I want the mugs to touch, so they're gonna be at a bit of an angle. I am going to pull a line down at an angle here. And then I'm gonna come over and pull another line. It's almost like I'm just making a rectangle because again, I want this to be a mug. If you want your glass to be something different, It's completely up to you. And I'm just gonna pull a line across the top. If you want your glass to be something different, it's completely up to you. I am also going to add a little handle on the back of my mug there. And I'm gonna repeat that same thing over here. So this time, again, I want my mugs to touch, so I'm gonna pull a line down at an angle there. I'm gonna come over a bit and pull another line down. And I'm just gonna close them off to make my mug. And of course, don't forget, you wanna add your handle to the back of your mug. All right, now I am gonna fill in my glass. So I'm gonna fill it in again with just the regular beer color. If you wanna fill it in with a different color, it's completely up to you. And you can keep using this brush, or you can switch back to your larger flat brush. I am switching back to the larger flat brush. And on my palette, I am gonna mix up some yellow with a little bit of this burnt sienna, so a little bit of this kind of brown here, and a little bit of white. And I wanna mix those up to get my beer color. Now again, if you would like to do green beer, you just wanna make sure that your green is different from your background. You wanna make sure the greens stand apart. And once you have your beer shade, whatever that might be, I'm gonna keep this on my brush, but I'm gonna also pick up a little bit of white because I want the colors to blend in the mug together. Now I'm gonna fill my mug all the way up. You can fill in as much or as little as you like. All right, now once you have both glasses completely filled, or again, filled as much as you like, the next thing I want to do is I want to make some foam at the top of my glasses, just like the foam that spills over when you're cheersing your beer. So for that part, I'm not going to wash my brush. I'm actually just going to pick up more white this time and a little bit of my beer color, but you want to have more white on your brush. And right across the top of my glass, I am just going to be tapping my brush down to create the look of foam. So I'm just gonna tap that right across. You can even make a little come outside of the glass there. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other mug. And I'm gonna take a little bit of this white while I have it on my brush, and I'm gonna go in my beer and just add a little bit of white on top, kind of like how we did the shamrock. Just adding a little bit of white on top. And then I am going to switch back to my medium-sized brush. So I wanna go back to that round medium-sized brush, or you can use a smaller one, whichever one works best for you. And I am just going to clean up the outline of my mug. So if any of your beer got on the outline of your mug, I'm just gonna go through and clean that up. I am also going to add a little more highlight on my shamrock to help that pop out more. And this is completely optional, but I want to add some decorations in my background. So I'm going to add some little swirls. You can add dots. You can add smaller little shamrocks. It's completely up to you. But I'm just going to take a little bit of white, and I'm just going to go around my background, adding some quick little swirls. And they don't all have to be the same size, and just wherever you want to see them at. All right. Now, once you feel like you have enough of the swirls or your background decorations and you have your beer how you want it, if there's anything else you'd like to add, like maybe you want to add some words, anything at all, feel free to add what you'd like. But the last thing you want to make sure to do is you want to sign your name. So you want to take your smallest brush, and you can use whatever color you'd like. I am just going to use a little bit of my white, and I am going to sign my initials right in the corner. And once you have done that, you now have your very own St. Patrick's Day painting. Thank you all so much for painting with me today. I hope you all have a fun and safe St. Patrick's Day. And remember, if you have any suggestions, drop them down in the comments below. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on those post notifications. And I will see you in the next tutorial.